Are you over the wrinkles? Are you not over the rainbow? Are you over the wrinkles? Maybe you're over 30, 40, 50 and up, and you've had it with these wrinkles, and you've thought about Botox, but you're just kind of scared. It's so scary. I'm going to stick needles in my face. Well, not you, but I'm going to let somebody stick needles in my face. Well, I'm here to tell you about my Botox journey and all the information you need to know. Should you or shouldn't you? So today I'm here to tell you everything that I know about Botox, and I will tell you that that's actually a lot. I'm not usually arrogant enough to say I know a lot, because I don't know a lot about a lot of things in life, but I know a lot about Botox because number one, yes, I get Botox. I started getting Botox when I was 42 or 43. I think it was actually like a month before I turned 43. I was getting ready to have my class reunion. I had some really deep crow's feet I felt beginning. My family's facial structure, we all smile a lot, we have wide jaws, and it just seems to give us big, deep creases. And so I didn't like those. So I had my first Botox at almost 43 years old. But also, I have continued that for the last, 8 years? I'm 51. I have continued that. And about a year ago, I decided, okay, this is doing really well for maintaining and preserving my skin, but I don't like paying these prices. So I happen to be a registered nurse with a master's degree. So I started getting some training so I could do my own Botox, and I have seriously considered opening a med spa. Now, in the last few months, I'm almost leaning towards not opening a med spa because my husband's getting ready to retire. He's 8 years older than me, and he keeps saying, we're not opening any more businesses. But it's always in the back of my mind. But at least I got the training. But I have a unique situation. So yes, I have the experience of being a client and having it done for the last 7, 8 years. And now for the last year, I've done my own Botox. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Should you or shouldn't you? You guys probably already know Botox has been around a while. I believe it was approved by the FDA in 1982, but it's been around for a while, long enough that we have some pretty good evidence that there's no long-term effects. But I'm going to be honest, it is the botulism toxin. So I think that's what scares people because yes, if you receive a large amount of botulism or even actually a small amount, it can be very dangerous and maybe even lethal. But the amount of Botox that we inject in our body is minimal, tiny. And we have found that not only does it have a lot of great beauty, there is a little hair floating through the sky. What the heck? Every time I film something weird. So we have found it to be fairly safe. If you look at the studies, very few complications. The complication rate is so minute. And it can be used for all these beauty ailments, wrinkles, but it's also used for a lot of medical purposes for people that have migraines, eye twitching, an excessive amount of perspiration. They can do it under your armpits, I have read and studied, and it can stop the perspiration. But if you're here today, you're probably here for the beauty side. So the primary places, let's talk about that first. The primary places that Botox can help is crow's feet, for sure, faux show, faux shizzle, and forehead lines that run horizontally. So those are the two places that I get it, here and here. And then a lot of people have this muscle here is called the glabellar, I can never pronounce things right. But the common term people call is they get 11s, which means they get vertical lines right here. So it works really well in getting rid of those. It's also used for the lips. If people want to have fuller lips, they can get what they call a lip flip, and they inject just a little bit of units in the lip, and it actually flips it out just a little. And so instead of filler, you could get a lip flip. Now, I will tell you, I tried that. I tried it once. I didn't do that one myself. I went to a spa in Florida. We were vacationing down. First of all, I think my lips are fine. They're not the, big that's in trend right now, but they're fine. It's just not an area that I'm really worried about too much. I just wanted to see. And I didn't like it because I couldn't drink out of a straw much. And so this is pretty much my drink. I have a hard time drinking water. And so I drink with a straw. So when I got the lip flip, it was like, I could not suck out of a straw. It just felt weird, and I didn't feel like it was worth it that much to me. I'm not going to do that again, and it's completely wore off, so this is my normal lips. But also, an area that I have done, and I need to have done right now, is if you are getting older like me, I'm 51, a lot of people don't know this. I'm going to do another video in the upcoming weeks about how to keep your neck firm and your chest away if you're worried about your neck and your chest. I saw somebody post the other day, a friend of mine, about somebody had recommended her to get Botox on her chest. Botox doesn't really help your down here. It can help your neck. What I didn't realize is when you start to get my age, your fat and your neck thins out. Why does that not happen on our butte and our thighs? And you start being able to see those lovely, those are called platysmal bands. And you start getting those. And so a lot of people just don't like the look of them, and they keep it from pulling as taut as it should, and so it tends to make more wrinkles come. So you can actually get Botox injections in those platysmal bands, and that will help with neck wrinkles. But we'll do more on that in my neck chest tightening series. So we've talked about what Botox is. We've talked about there's risks with everything in life, but honestly, if you look at the studies, it's so minimal. And guys, almost everybody I know that has gotten Botox still gets it. It's that good. It's generally that safe. The people who don't get Botox are usually the ones that are nervous and scared. And granted, I get that it's good to be nervous and cautious, but I'm telling you, it's been around for a long time, and it's probably the number one most effective thing I would say for anti-aging. So now that we've established what it is and what it does, we've talked about where the most common areas you can get it, let's talk some specifics. People want to know prices. So Botox is administered in what we call units. They're super tiny. They are not the same units as like insulin. So sometimes people get that confused, but they're super tiny. And most places who offer Botox sell them per unit. So the average, and it depends on where you're at in the country and who's administering it, but the average, I would say, is probably $12 to $15 per unit. So you can kind of calculate in your head. I generally would have 20 units done. If it was done at $10 per unit, that's $200. So for the most of the time that I've had Botox since I was 43, I usually only spend about $250, which I know I shouldn't say only because that is a lot of money. But I didn't use any anti-wrinkle creams and all these things that people use $50, $100 a month. I got Botox twice a year, and I would spend $200 to $225. So yeah, I'd spend about $500 a year, but if you break that over 12 months, it's really quite affordable. Let's also talk about people have qualms about, oh, you're sticking a needle in my face. Yeah, you are, but it's a tiny needle, and we actually generally do use the insulin needle. So if you know anything about needles and you're in the medical field, it's typically a 31 gauge needle. So for comparison, I was an ER nurse. When you come to the ER and we start an IV on you, the average size is a 20 gauge. So in medicine, the larger number, the smaller the needle. So a 31 gauge for your Botox injections is tiny, and it doesn't go very deep. The muscles are generally closer to the surface, and so you don't have to inject very much. Frequency. How often am I going to have to do this, Trish? Botox typically lasts 3 to 4 months. Now, I've had some friends that have lasted 5 and 6 months, but that's atypical. So most people, 3 or 4 months, that's about how long it lasts for me. I was getting it in twice a year, and so I kind of lapsed a little bit. I'd start to get a little of my wrinkles back. And now I have finally went to 3 times a year, unfortunately, but again, I'm doing it myself. So it's going to last you 3 to 4 months. We talked about it kicks in about 2 days. So I've done a lot of talking. Would you guys like to see some before and afters? I figured. I'm going to be real with you guys, and I'm going to show you an unfiltered picture of myself. And this was just about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, before I did my own Botox. So let's take a look at that. So you can see they're not terrible, but I didn't like them. And one of the reasons I started in my 40s, my early 40s, is prevention. If you start this younger, you can really prevent a lot of the deep creased wrinkles, because once they get in real deep, Botox is not necessarily going to reverse it. It's going to prevent the new wrinkles from coming. So yes, if you have wrinkles, it can help make them disappear or minimize, but the sooner you start, the better, with the caveat, I personally, just my own opinion, I don't think anybody needs to be doing this less than 30. Honestly, I would say 35 and up, but it depends on the individuality of where your wrinkles are. So you might be thinking, all right, Trish, you just act like $250 a pop is nothing, but I don't have that kind of money. Is there a way I can get it cheaper? Well, there's a couple options. There are several forms of the neurotoxin other than the Botox brand. The Botox brand is sold by Allergan, is the company, but there's a few other neurotoxins that just have a little variance in their chemical makeup, but they do the same thing. One is Dysport. Some people say Dysport, but I believe the proper way is Dysport. Xenomin, I may be saying that wrong, but it's Xenomin. So those are a couple other, and Dysport is usually less costly than Botox. However, you have to get more of it. So I find that it typically is a little less expensive, but not drastically. You want this, and it's just not in your budget. One thing you can do, if you're kind of brave, is some of the training companies offer reduced prices for models to come to the trainings and get injected. So you may be like, what? I'm going to let people inject on me. You don't know what they're doing. Not actually. The trainers are right there. Sometimes the trainers who are highly experienced are the ones that are going to be injecting you. And sometimes the trainers are right there next to the student and they're saying, push there. So I feel like at most reputable schools, and I'm going to put in the description box a couple of schools that I feel like are reputable. Most of those, you're going to get a good result. And when you sign up to be a model and go to the trainings, they offer it generally about half off. So you might get it for $6 a unit, $7 a unit. So a lot more affordable. I've also heard people talk about Groupon. If you get on Groupon in a larger area, I live in a more rural area in the Midwest, but I also have a vacation home in Naples, Florida. So when I'm in the Midwest, there's not a tremendous amount of people offering Botox. It's certainly here, but not as much as Naples, Florida. If I go to Naples, Florida and get on Groupon, there are tons of people offering Botox for cheaper prices. I just want to say buyer beware. Be super, super careful. I'm not saying that you can't get good Botox on Groupon for a good rate, but I'm also saying look super carefully into that before you buy that deal. Sometimes good injectors are starting their business and they just need to build clientele, so they do use Groupon. So you want to find out about their background, how long they've been in business, and look at reviews. I am a big Groupon user for a lot of other things, and what I have found is I don't necessarily look at the Groupon reviews. I find out what the name of the business is, and then I Google the name of the business with review behind the Google search, and then a lot of times you can find reviews from Google reviews, Yelp reviews, TripAdvisor reviews if it's like a place to go. And those are where you're going to find the real meat of the reviews. But just be very, very cautious when you do. So let's talk about where can you get Botox done safely. Number one, plastic surgeons are the cream of the crop. If you go to a plastic surgeon, they are highly trained. They can do it. I also believe there's some great med spas. And so you want to look for a nurse practitioner. And some states, the RN can do it, like myself, as long as they're working under a physician's license. Also, a lot of dentists do it. Now, I hear a lot of hoopla about dentists. I'm not going to a dentist. Well, I can tell you, after I did that first plastic surgeon on my first Botox 8 or 9 years ago, it was 2 hours away. And I'm like, I'm not driving 2 hours away. So I knew of a local dentist that had a nice, great reputation, and he offered Botox on the side. So I'm kind of a risky gal, so I tried it, and he actually did a great job, and I went to him for a long, long time. You have to remember that dentists already are skilled in injection. Just like nurses, I have injected every part of the body. I did dialysis and emergency medicine. So injecting is not foreign to me, but whoever is doing your neurotoxin injections needs to be extremely familiar with facial structure, where the muscles are, and the things that we try to avoid, the arteries. Find out who he's done. If you know ladies in the area, find out who he's done and if they've had good results. So that's my recommendations about what credentials and type of people to get them for. But I will also tell you, results are gonna vary depending upon the injector. There are some common things that may go a little wrong with your Botox injections that are not detrimental, they're just annoying. One of the most common things, if you're getting the horizontal forehead wrinkles, which I do now, I think I told you guys I started with crow's feet. About 5 years in, I was getting older, all of a sudden I decided I'm starting to get a lot of horizontal wrinkles that I don't like. So I added in the horizontal, so I get those. But one thing that injectors can do if they're not super trained or careful, or even sometimes it's just people are so individual, it's easy to not know this result will happen, is it can drop your eyebrows. Now, the good news is it's only going to last 3 or 4 months, but it does drop your eyebrows. My eyebrows are very low set anyway. I have to kind of fake an arch with my eyebrow pencil. And I did have an injector do that. I think he was a great injector. The first time I went to him, I had fabulous results, probably the best I'd ever had. But the second time, he dropped my eyebrow and he didn't even know it. So I've learned, since I went through training and inject myself now, if I stay with, I think I do my injections right here and right here, it doesn't drop my eyebrow. They really should never be injecting any like close to your eyebrow like that. They really should do 2 fingers and always stay above that. Adversely, sometimes if they inject too far over here, it can give you what's called a Spock eyebrow, and it can go up like that. Now, I actually don't think I'd mind that, a little bit of Spock eyebrow, because I don't like how low mine sits. Also, your injector will decide how much Botox you need. And be patient with your injector, because they're learning your face and how your body's going to respond and how your wrinkles are going to respond. So if you go to your new injector that you've never used before, and the first time it's good, but not exactly like you want, be a little patient, because now the next time you go back, they're going to know how you react. The first time I did my own, it was so-so. The next time I felt like, yeah, I really finally figured mine out. For my crow's feet, for me, I do 3 injections. I do 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here on both sides. And I only do 1 here and 1 here for my forehead. So I don't get the complete frozen forehead. If you look, you can see I can still move my eyebrows, but the wrinkles are greatly reduced. So I hope this gives you guys a little introduction onto what Botox is, where you put it, how much you get, what could go wrong, where to look, where not to go. And if you've been on the fence, just try it. Because other than my mama, I would say Botox is number 2. And again, I have no shame in my game. I am happy. I feel like it has greatly preserved my youth. I hope this was helpful to you guys today. If you would like some more information about how to preserve your skin in your youth, I'm going to link a few videos for you. And if you like this video, I sure would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. That really helps new YouTubers like me succeed, and I really want you to be in my community. If you're like me, I crave information about how I can continue to preserve my youth as long as I can. Yeah, I know we're all going to age. We're in earthly bodies. They're going to eventually give up. But as long as I'm here, I want to look as youthful as I can because that just kind of makes me happier. If you have any questions, put them in the comments about Botox. I'm happy to answer them. If you don't like Botox and you don't want to get it, that's fine. No shame in your game either. Just don't shame us because everybody has their own opinion. Hope this helped you guys today, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for stopping by That's So Trishy. Bye.